Stop scrolling. I need you to hear this, because this is not just my story. This is the story of every person who was ever told, quietly or loudly, that they were the less important one. I was that person. For 26 years, and then everything changed. My name is Claire, and I want to start with a single moment. Not the beginning, not the end, but the exact moment I understood what my family had always thought of me. I was 19 years old, sitting at the kitchen table. My parents were discussing my sister Rachel's college fund. Full tuition, private university, housing, books, everything covered, without hesitation, without discussion, as if it had always been decided. Then my mother turned to me. "Claire, you're practical. You'll figure something out." That was it. That was the entire conversation about my future. You'll figure something out. I sat at that table for a long moment. I looked at my sister, who had the grace to look slightly uncomfortable, and then at my parents, who had already moved on to discussing Rachel's dorm room preferences. And something shifted inside me that day. Something that had been soft and hopeful quietly became something harder. Something that said, "I'm fine. I will figure something out. Watch me." If you have ever been the one who was expected to just figure it out, stay with me. Subscribe to this channel right now, because what happened next took 10 years, and it was worth every single one of them. I worked 3 jobs to put myself through community college, while Rachel attended her private university, posting photos of campus life and spring breaks, and the particular ease of someone whose path has been completely cleared. I worked mornings at a bakery, evenings at a restaurant, and weekends doing bookkeeping for small businesses. That last job changed everything. The owner of one of those small businesses, a woman named Patricia, who had built a logistics company from nothing, noticed something in the way I organized her accounts. A pattern recognition she said she hadn't seen in years of hiring professionals. "You have a talent," she told me one afternoon. "You see things other people miss." Nobody had ever said that to me before. In my family, Rachel was the talented one, the smart one, the one worth investing in. I started working for Patricia full-time after graduation. She mentored me, challenged me, paid for certifications and courses in the kind of professional development my parents had never considered offering. If you are still with me, if this is hitting somewhere real, please share this video right now. Someone you know needs to hear this story. Within 5 years, I had risen to senior analyst. Within 7, I had been headhunted by a firm that offered me a salary that made me sit in my car for 20 minutes after the call because I couldn't trust what I had heard. I said yes. I invested carefully. Patricia had taught me that every raise, every bonus, a portion went directly into investments. I had researched obsessively, in the same way I had once researched how to stretch a grocery budget to last a week. By the time I was 31, 10 years after that kitchen table conversation, my net worth had crossed $1 million. I told no one, not my friends, not Patricia, certainly not my family. My family, during those 10 years, had stayed largely the same. Rachel had graduated, lived at home for 2 years, gotten a comfortable job through connections my parents had arranged, and married a man they approved of. Holiday dinners were still full of my parents discussing Rachel's life in detail while asking me vague, polite questions they never waited for the answers to. I attended, I smiled, I said little, and I watched, because I had learned from a kitchen table at 19 that the most powerful thing you can do in a room that underestimates you is wait. The call came on a Thursday morning in April. My mother, voice tight in the way that means something is wrong, and she is trying to control how wrong she sounds. My father had made a series of significant financial mistakes, investments that had failed, decisions made confidently and incorrectly. The house, the same house where I had sat at that kitchen table and been told to figure something out, was at risk. They needed help, significant help, the kind of help that required someone with resources. They had called Rachel first. Rachel, whose comfortable job and approved husband had not produced the financial cushion my parents had perhaps assumed it would. Rachel could not help, not at the level that was needed. So my mother called me. "We didn't want to bother you," she said. "We know you've always had to manage carefully." I sat with that sentence for a moment. Manage carefully. The lifelong assumption spoken. So naturally she didn't even notice that I was still the one who scraped by, the one who figured something out. The one for whom resources were always limited. I took a breath. "Mom," I said, "how much do you need?" She told me. I did not react. I had learned over 10 years of boardrooms and negotiations not to react. "I can help," I said. "But I want to have a conversation first, in person. Can you and Dad come to my office next week?" There was a pause. "Your office?" "Yes," I said. "My office." The meeting happened on a Tuesday. My parents arrived and were shown to the conference room by my assistant. I watched through the glass wall as they looked around, at the floor, at the view, at the quiet evidence of something they had not known existed. When I walked in, my mother looked at me differently than she ever had before. Not with love, that was always there in its complicated way, but with something new, recognition. We talked for 2 hours. I did not lecture them. I did not list every meal I had cooked for myself at 19 or every shift I had worked or every holiday I had spent studying while Rachel's life was being arranged for her. I simply told them the truth, calmly, completely. "I figured something out," I said. "Like you always knew I would." My mother cried. My father looked at his hands. I helped them. Fully, completely, without conditions, because that is who I had chosen to become. Not someone who withholds. Someone who gives from a place so solid that giving doesn't diminish it. But I helped them as myself. The complete version. The version they had never thought to invest in. Rachel called me that evening. She had heard from our parents. There was a long pause on the phone before she spoke. "I didn't know," she said. "I want you to know. I didn't know how much they weren't seeing you." It was the most honest thing my sister had ever said to me. "I know," I said. "Neither did I for a long time. Here is what 10 years and one kitchen table conversation taught me. Being underestimated is painful, but it is also, if you choose to use it that way, the most powerful fuel that exists. Because the people who dismiss you stop watching. And the people who stop watching never see what you are building." My parents gave everything to my sister, and I figured something out, 1,000,000 times over. If this story reached you, if it opened something, please share it right now with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to this channel for stories like this every week. And leave a comment below. Have you ever been the one who was told to just figure it out? I want to hear your story. I am always listening.